if I thought about that, Rory, I'd be in danger of becoming, and I hope I'm not already, slightly pretentious, but B, becoming slightly worried and affected.
I don't want to. I feel bad now.
No, I honestly, because it's only authentic if it's authentic, and if you start worrying and overthinking about what people might be thinking and how you ought to reflect that, then it stops being a natural sentiment. Does that make sense?
It does.
So
it does.
I try not to think about it too much, and yet that
think about it with us a lot, though. Think about it with us a lot.
Well,
come on. I mean, let me throw one out. Let me throw one out for you. Let me throw one out for you. You've said commentating on a Lionel Messi game. You called it feels like narrating a piece of history. And I was like, when I read that, I was like, oh my God, there must be an extra pressure to drop your best stuff because you know it's going to be on soundtracks for generations. Don't like to make you think about this, or something you don't want to think about. But no, it's going to be your voice. Archaeologists are going to find in 1,000 years' time when they're going to find Messi
in the blue Peter box that's been buried. The thing is, though, Rog, honestly, if you think about it, if you start doing that too much, it becomes an exercise in plasticness, and it's really important that you don't do that. And as a commentator, I'm sure Rory would say the same about writing. You know, if you preconceive what you're going to have thought or said, if you imagine a goal in advance, then what actually happens won't properly coincide with the way you feel about it at the time. And so, whilst I suppose it is true that sometimes your words get associated with a goal or a moment, the most important thing, I think, well, not the most important thing, but an important thing to remember is that the goals are scored by the footballers. And you're just a lucky bloke who sits there and gets the chance to articulate it in the moment. And that's really exciting. And when
every football fan knows Peter Drury for his unforgettable commentary. His words have become part of football history, making the biggest moments feel even more special. But what is the real secret behind his legendary style? In this podcast, Peter reveals something surprising. He says he never prepares dramatic lines before a goal is scored. According to him, if a commentator already decides what to say before the moment happens, the emotion becomes artificial. Instead of trying to sound poetic, he simply watches the game, feels the atmosphere, and lets the words come naturally. Peter believes that great commentary isn't about using complicated vocabulary or memorizing clever phrases. It's about being completely present in the moment. When a goal is scored, his first job is to identify the scorer. After that, he trusts his instincts and allows genuine emotion to guide his words. This approach is what makes his commentary feel so authentic. Whether it's a last-minute winner, a
football's eternal question, who is the greatest? Two names forever bound. Lionel Messi.
Because they are real. Many people think Peter Drury's magic comes from his poetic language, but this conversation proves that his greatest strength is honesty. He doesn't perform emotions. He experiences them alongside millions of football fans watching around the world. Perhaps that's why his commentary has become so iconic. He reminds us that football's greatest moments don't need to be scripted. When passion is real, the right words find you naturally, and that's exactly what has made Peter Drury one of the greatest football commentators of all time.
And the kind of the moments of greatness he get at World Cups. I was in Kansas City to see Messi's hat-trick. And I'd had a really long day. Kansas City is really far from Los Angeles. I was very tired. I hadn't had any sleep. I had very little time to have a barbecue, and I was upset about it. And then you watch Messi play and you feel this sort of childlike glee at seeing him play. And I found that incredibly easy to write about. It is genuinely, it feels like you are just, the words are there and you put them on the page. And whatever you say, he inspires you to be poetic. And I think that is probably a similar feeling to you, Peter.
That is bang on, Rory. That is bang on. And that is why the sort of reflected glory we sometimes get, and I do mean we, you and I, all of us who articulate the game, have to understand that it is reflected, and that we can only articulate what he and others do. But he is the best example. And you know, the one thing, this is a silly little gripe of mine, but when I hear people say there's nothing more to be said about Lionel Messi, I think, well, come on, challenge yourself to say something. about Lionel Messi, because he deserves for you to find something new to say. And as you also rightly say, if you genuinely are imbued with a love of the game, how can you not be lifted to find something to say about him? Because he's beautiful. I mean, he is beautiful and remarkable. And you know what? The only thing he's doing, Rory, I don't know whether you agree with this as well. You're well entitled not to. The only thing he's doing, which is mildly irritating, is laughing in the face of all of us who had the great privilege of working on his last World Cup final and treated it as if it was his grand farewell, because he's going to flip and go and do it all again. And then we've got to find something new to say.
Peter Drury's philosophy goes far beyond beautiful words. He believes that football commentary should never be about the commentator becoming the star. Instead, the players create history, and the commentator's job is simply to capture the emotion of that moment as honestly as possible. One of the most interesting things Peter explains is that every iconic line comes from genuine emotion, not from planning. That's why his commentary feels so natural. When millions of fans remember a famous goal, they remember both the player's brilliance and the emotion that his voice added to the moment. He also reminds us that the greatest football stories aren't always about the biggest superstars. Sometimes, the most unforgettable moments belong to underdogs, unknown players, or emotional victories that inspire an entire nation. Those human stories are what make football the world's most beautiful game. Perhaps that's why Peter Drury has become one of the most respected commentators of all time. He doesn't try to create magic, he simply allows football to create it for him. This is only part 2 of the conversation. In the next part, Peter Drury shares his thoughts on Lionel Messi, unforgettable World Cup moments, and why football has the power to bring people together like nothing else. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss part 3.